ready to address President Trump's false claim that President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower and facing questions about ties between Russia and the Trump campaign, while the president's Supreme Court pick faces the Senate for the first time.
Wildfire warning. Wyoming to Texas on alert this morning as a giant blaze tears through Colorado. Evacuations underway. Firefighters on the ground and in the air trying to battle the flames, and the new record heat warning.
The nationwide manhunt now for the high school teacher accused of abducting his 15-year-old student. He's considered armed and dangerous. Authorities now fear for her safety. His wife makes a desperate plea.
This is not you.
Tips pouring in from dozens of states, but now fears the trail is going cold.
In Sweet 16.
And the dream is about to become a reality for South Carolina.
South Carolina stunning Duke, sending them home with an amazing rally overnight. Michigan crashing the party, knocking off a powerhouse, and why the heartbreak of this crying Northwestern fan is going viral this morning.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning, America. Happy first day of spring. Doesn't feel like it out there at all. Look at everybody outside. It's so cold here in New York, but it has begun. A little debate. Did it start at 6:28 or 6:29 a.m.?
I actually wanted to just be warm. I don't care when it starts. You know what, though? Don't we all feel bad for that poor Northwestern fan? So upset at the loss there. But it's kind of like, well, basically the opposite right now in South Carolina.
I did feel bad for him until he swore.
I was trying to move on before that happened. He was really upset, people. Basketball is serious business. South Carolina, though, they are celebrating. What an amazing win overnight. I love this look of campus right there, erupting in cheers after they took down Duke.
And for every crying, cursing child, there's somebody who's smiling on the other end. And and the university's president he was so excited, but not as excited as the students, but not so excited to cancel classes. So he tweeted this selfie saying, "Sorry to disappoint, classes are on."
Yeah,
so
aren't classes optional sometimes in college? They were for me. If you had a fun night.
A little more
no
insight.
comment.
All right, fine. You guys were perfect students.
I went through every class every day.
Sure you did.
We have a lot more March Madness coming up, but first, let's take a live look at the Capitol right there. It's high drama in Congress today. 2 public showdowns with President Trump's Supreme Court nominee facing his first confirmation hearings in the Senate.
And the FBI Director James Comey set to testify before the House Intelligence Committee about Russia meddling in the election and President Trump's explosive wiretapping allegations. Our senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas starts us off in Washington with all of that. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Amy. In just a little while, FBI Director James Comey is due here on Capitol Hill in one of the most anticipated hearings in recent memory, a day that could poison his relationship with the White House.
Director Comey, have you seen any evidence that President Obama wiretapped?
After 2 weeks of refusing to comment, sources tell ABC News FBI Director James Comey is expected to say publicly what he's been telling top congressional leaders privately, that Obama-ordered wiretapping of Trump Tower did not happen. Sources say Comey is concerned that Trump's comments create the impression that the FBI did something illegal. And after the Justice Department gave a classified briefing on Capitol Hill on Friday, even members of Trump's own party said there was no evidence to support his claims.
Was there a physical wiretap of Trump Tower? No, but there never was. And the information we got on Friday continues to lead us in that direction.
Have you seen any evidence that President Obama ordered an illegal wiretap of President Trump?
George, no, I haven't.
Republican committee member Will Hurd calling for Trump to apologize.
It never hurts to say you're sorry.
So you think the president should say sorry?
I think so.
That may be unlikely. On Friday at a press conference with the German chancellor, Trump didn't back down when challenged about wiretapping.
As far as wiretapping, I guess, by this past administration, at least we have something in common, perhaps.
Trump referencing the Obama administration's reported tapping of Merkel's phone. As for Comey, today's hearing marks another pivotal moment for one of the most powerful and controversial FBI directors in recent history. Comey, of course, the man who many Democrats blame for hurting Hillary Clinton's chances for the presidency. With his closing and then reopening of the investigation into her use of a private email server just days before the election. And the wild No one knows how Trump will react to a high-ranking official in his own administration saying he was wrong. George?
Okay, Pierre, thanks very much. Let's get more on this now from our chief White House correspondent, John Karl, our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce. And John, let me begin with you. I mean, Pierre's right. We don't know exactly how President Trump is going to respond, but he is up early this morning giving some clues.
Yeah, absolutely. What the White House will do on this, what the president will do, George, is deflect, take away from the story on the wiretapping and look at other angles. We've seen 3 tweets this morning, and this shows you what the president is thinking on this. The first, he says, James Clapper and others stated there was no evidence that POTUS colluded with Russia. The story is fake news, and everyone knows it. Here's the point on that. The FBI, as far as we understand, has produced no evidence yet that there was any collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. The president will focus on that, not the fact that there's no evidence on the wiretap.
Yeah, he wants to focus on that. He wants to focus on leaks as well. He wants to change the subject. But is the White House really going to be able to hold that ground of not backing down from the statement after the FBI director says publicly it's just false?
George, I see absolutely no indication that the president will admit he was wrong on this or let alone apologize to President Obama. I see no evidence they will back down. They will try to move away, deflect, look at other aspects of the story, but I don't see any chance that this president says I was wrong.
And Mayor, there are other aspects to the story, the committee hoping to get into that as well.
Yeah, lawmakers, George, are looking here to lay out in public how Russia interfered and meddled in the election. Now, as John mentions, there is no smoking gun to suggest that the Trump team colluded with Russia, but that's not going to stop Democrats here from digging even further. They are going to be looking for any potential ties or links between the Trump team and Russia, while Republicans are looking to broaden the scope of this, to shift the focus to the leaks. They argue that those are real crimes here.
Meantime, on another front, Mary, that battle over health care, the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, suggesting more changes may be coming to the bill as he tries to get a vote on this Thursday.
Yeah, the Speaker of the House recognizes the political reality here that in order to get this bill through the House, they have to make changes now. They're looking to boost some of the benefits for older Americans, also possibly making changes to the Medicaid provisions. But the concern here, George, is that any changes that you make to satisfy the opposition in the House may actually make it harder for this bill to get through over in the Senate.
Meantime, John, the White House not so concerned about the Senate right now because they know what the cost of a loss in the House would mean this week.
One step at a time, George. That's what the legislative affairs team here at the White House is saying. They think they can get a victory in the House. They know it will be a very hard-fought victory. But if they lose in the House, obviously the Senate's irrelevant. So right now, all of the focus is passing that first big test. They acknowledge they don't exactly know what happens next if they can get through the Senate. They don't know exactly where those votes are, but they believe that the president has to prevail. Therefore, he will.
Okay, John Karl, Mary Bruce, thanks very much.
And it is a busy day in Washington. The confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch also getting underway on Capitol Hill this morning. ABC's Terry Moran, who has covered Supreme Court confirmation hearings for more than 2 decades, is there for us right now. And Terry, there has been a 7-week buildup to these hearings. So tell us what we can expect this morning.
Well, good morning, Amy. I'll tell you what you can expect in a hyper-partisan Washington. It will be high intensity and hard fought. But in some ways, the most shocking thing about the Gorsuch nomination is how normal it's going to be. This is probably the smoothest operation the Trump presidency has launched, his nomination. He's an establishment conservative. He has come through Harvard and Oxford and the Bush administration. And while Democrats are going to press him very hard on flashpoint issues like President Trump's attacks on the judiciary and on the immigration ban, what will really happen in there, I think, is a very typical Supreme Court hearing, especially given that the chairman of the committee, Senator Grassley, and the ranking Democrat, Senator Feinstein, those are 2 of the most senior senators. They are old school. They will keep a lid on things in there.
And Terry, the Supreme Court has been down a justice for more than a year now since the passing of Judge Scalia back in February, and the balance of the court is at stake with this one.
Well, he is a conservative replacing a conservative, but really what this is kind of a dry run for both sides for the next retirement that they anticipate. Perhaps Justice Kennedy, perhaps Justice Ginsburg. We never know, of course. And that would be the real war for the Supreme Court. This one is important, but I think they are going to keep their powder dry until the next one comes along.
All right, Terry Moran, thank you. George?
Okay, we're going to go overseas now for the latest on the nuclear threat from North Korea. The regime announced this weekend that it has tested a new engine that could fuel a nuclear missile. That drew a sharp response from President Trump on Air Force One Sunday.
sanctions on North Korea. He's acting very, very badly. I will tell you, he's acting very badly. Thank you.
Let's get more on this from Martha Raddatz in Washington. Martha, these comments from the president come after Secretary of State Rex Tillerson raised the possibility of a military strike against North Korea during his trip to Asia last week.
Exactly right, George. Tillerson said the Trump administration has not ruled out a preemptive strike against North Korea, which means they could try to take out a missile before it leaves the launch pad or disrupt a nuclear test. But despite strong words and warnings from the Trump administration, or perhaps because of them, the provocations from North Korea are going ahead full steam. This latest test of that rocket engine shows significant progress towards building more powerful, long-range missiles. North Korea trying to perfect a missile capable of reaching the United States with a nuclear warhead. This latest test coming just hours before Secretary Tillerson met with Chinese President Xi, North Korea's leader, seeming to test the red line that Tillerson and President Trump have drawn, George.
Right. China could be our key partner in taking on the North Korean threat, and it appears that the Chinese leader and Secretary of State Tillerson found some common ground over the weekend.
Yeah, as you know, George, with diplomacy, what is said in public is often very different than what is said in private. The Chinese want to maintain a good relationship with North Korea, and they strongly object to the kind of missile defense system that the U.S. may deploy if North Korea keeps this up, George.
Okay, Martha Raddatz, thanks very much. Let's go to Michael.
All right, thank you, George. And turning now to that record heat and new fire concerns as the dangerous wildfire tears through Colorado, forcing hundreds of people to evacuate. Clayton Sandell is on the scene in Boulder, Colorado, and good morning to you, Clayton.
Hey, good morning to you, Michael. You can see police still have the streets shut down here because right now it's just too dangerous to let anybody back in.
Possible wildfire in the area of Sunshine Canyon Drive, Timber Trail.
This morning, crews are working to stop a wildfire, bringing a smoky start to spring.
It really is very thick, and even through the mask, I can smell it.
The flames torching the steep Rocky Mountain foothills just west of Boulder, Colorado.
A lot of the fire perimeter is very remote. It's going to be very difficult to try to get water up there.
Hundreds of firefighters from around the state are battling the blaze, getting help from the air. Planes dropping fire retardant and helicopters using water from nearby lakes. 426 homes were evacuated when the flames began spreading early Sunday. People living in another 836 homes told to be ready to go.
I've been just hanging out and wondering if we're going to lose our neighborhood or not. And so far the firefighters have been amazing, and the volunteers, and so we owe a lot of gratitude.
Investigators are now trying to find out how this fire started.
At this point, we've been able to rule out things like lightning strikes or weather-related, down power lines, things like that. That causes us to speculate that it's human-caused, man-made.
Now, right now, this fire is at 50% containment. As long as that number continues to go up, these roadblocks will come down, and hopefully people will be able to go home soon. Michael.
All right, thank you, Clayton. And let's go to Ginger, who has more on the fire dangers in record heat.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ginger.
More records will be broken. I want to show you these images out of Boulder. Unfortunately, could happen again. There's an elevated risk. Fort Collins, Colorado, up through parts of southeastern Wyoming. But really, it's this area in Oklahoma and Texas, Oklahoma City included, that we're concerned about. Humidity, less than 20% and down to 10%. That is super dry. You add that to the wind and the close to record heat. Break a record or tie it in Dallas, also Oklahoma City. Kansas City was 87 Sunday. That is the warmest they've been this early in the season. The warmth spreads east briefly. A lot more mild warmth. I know, Michael, you want so badly to not wear a jacket. I'm sorry, it's not happening this week.
I asked her this morning, when can I walk out of the house without a jacket? That's where that came from.
Keep waiting. All right, we have some new details now about that 25-year-old's amazing escape, jumping out of a trunk as her kidnapper drove away. ABC's Gio Benitez is here with how she managed to break free. This is quite the story, Gio.
Just incredible, Amy. Good morning. This young woman was held at gunpoint in front of her apartment after coming home from work, forced into that trunk, and now she says her insulin pump helped her escape.
It's a jaw-dropping moment caught on tape. 25-year-old Brittany Diggs, a nursing student, escaping from her kidnapper by clawing her way out of the trunk of his car at a gas station in Alabama. Surveillance cameras then captured her frantically rushing inside the station, and the owner called police. Now a friend of Diggs is speaking out for the first time on this GoFundMe page about how Brittany Diggs freed herself. She says it was all thanks to the light from her insulin pump. Janice Robinson writing on this GoFundMe page that with the help of her insulin pump, she was able to find the lever, jump out, and save her life. According to the page, the goal is to help Diggs raise money to move because she no longer feels safe at home. Robinson writing, "This stranger took everything from her. Brittany has nothing to lose, but also nothing to come back." Now, the good news is, if this happens to you, you shouldn't need any light because every car built since 2002 now has a glow-in-the-dark release handle for exactly this reason. As for the kidnapper, Michael, this morning we know he's still at large.
Wow.
Hopefully they catch him soon.
Thank you, Gio.
And you know, we're going to go to some madness around here. TJ Holmes has joined us. He's right here to my right. He's a little nervous. Because I know you were in this bracket, and I know your bracket's probably busted right now. Because some of the top seeds were sent home packing only the second round.
Yeah,
so you have more on that.
Mine's perfect. I just fill mine out as we go. But but you have 60 to 100 million brackets filled out online every single year through ESPN Tournament Challenge, Yahoo, and other places. Out of all those brackets, right now we have exactly zero that are still perfect. Zero. Now, everybody was feeling themselves after day 1 and 2. No major upsets, no overtime. But then Saturday and Sunday rolled around, and everybody's bracket went
No one's winning Warren Buffett's money.
I just thinking the same thing.
Always with that mind. Can you roll my piece now, please?
Duke came into this tournament hot. A second seed and a favorite that many thought could go all the way.
And a three-point hit from Matt Jones.
But then, the Blue Devils ran into South Carolina.
What a pass! What a throwdown!
The Gamecocks had not won an NCAA game in over 40 years. But when you score 65 points in the second half,
Up ahead, Mackey. And Mackey with a two-handed jam.
you have an upset for the ages.
They never gave in to losing, and we weren't going to give in. It's a beautiful day for our state, beautiful day for our fans.
Another upset involving a number 7 seed over a number 2. The University of Michigan rallied from an 8-point halftime deficit to beat Louisville.
Takes the shot, drives in for the basket.
This is the 6th straight win for the Maize and Blue since their team plane traveling at 150 miles per hour slid off a runway during a powerful windstorm. And this weekend saw the first number 1 seed to fall, as 8th seed Wisconsin knocked out the defending champs, the Villanova Wildcats.
Nigel Hayes.
This crying youngster said it all for Northwestern fans. Their run came to an end at the hands of 1 seed Gonzaga.
Trying to tell that kid it's only a game.
He wasn't the only fan who had trouble coping with the loss. Check out the wife of the Wichita State coach, seen in this Kentucky Sports Radio Twitter clip, getting the crowd worked up.
Okay, she's okay. Yeah, you want a woman to support you like that. This is his wife. But this tournament challenge, to let you all know, though, somebody went 39-0 in a perfect bracket this year. That's the longest streak we've ever seen. And the reason is that first round wasn't that hard to predict, not a lot of major upsets, but now everybody's going bust.
Well, you didn't expect to see Duke lose. Last night, North Carolina won a tough one against your Arkansas Razorbacks.
It was a rough day at the house yesterday.
So close.
I'd rather get blown out.
Smiling this morning.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Ginger.
I knew I should have filled out a bracket. I could have just randomly picked something, right? Okay, so the low-level jet is just cranking this morning, and that's why you see some of these bigger hailstones falling. Spring officially begins in Illinois for sure. The flash flood warning still. Severe thunderstorms could still come with this as the storm sinks south. Let's go ahead and get to your select cities now. Brought to you by Power Rangers, rated PG-13.
You 5 are the Power Rangers. You were born for this.
Bring it on. Surprise.
Okay, now that's cool.
Let's play.
She must be stopped.
I told you it'd be famous.
Power Rangers, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
Today, spring begins, and it's going to be one of the best days out of the work week. Temperatures, yes, starting out a little chilly in the 30s to 40s for early morning through lunchtime, but near 60 degrees our high today. A lot of sunshine, clouds roll in late, and so will the rain after about 11 p.m., but should be over with by 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. And then midweek cooling, expect our highs to be in the mid to upper 40s Wednesday and Thursday. Saturday, back up to 72 with rain back on Sunday. Much needed rain now for the area.
I'm just going to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm picking my bracket for next year.
All right.
You like it?
Yeah,
You're
I'll do
already
it.
ahead.